Good morning and welcome to day 21 of Read Indie RPGs. Today we're going to talk about a game that I'm really excited about. So I have had a soft spot for World War One airplanes forever. I got fascinated with them as a kid and as a teenager, and I've loved them ever since. And if not unsurprisingly, I highly recommend that you track down a play called Billy Bishop Goes to War. It is a wonderful Canadian play about Billy Bishop, who is Canada and I believe the war's allied, highest ranking allied fighter ace. But I've been sort of fascinated with that world, the romanticism that was laid over top of it, and the actual harsh reality of that sort of combat. So when I came across this game, I knew I had to talk about it. This is Flying Circus by Erika Chappell. Flying Circus is set in a fantasy world on the continent of Himmelgard, a sprawling landmass of soaring mountains and tangled forests. Himmelgard draws on early 20th century rural Germany, European fairy tales, and the cozy apocalypse aesthetic of early Ghibli to create a world of industry and fantasy where the aeroplane is the dominant form of travel. Humans have flown since before the wheel, so there are no roads, just airways and trade winds. The wilderness is dark and filled with magic. Picture a world from a Miyazaki film. There are peaceful little towns and vast, beautiful landscapes, a warmth to everything even when things are grim. Everything is rustic and worn and lived in, and most folks are decent, more or less. Aeroplanes are beautifully rendered dreams. The detritus of a long-ago war litters the landscape, and in the shadows lurk things that are difficult to understand. Not long ago, Himmelgard was ruled by a number of imperial states, who carved out cities of stone and steel from the wilderness. Smoke-belching factory complexes churned forth a dizzying array of aeroplanes and war machines. An ever-widening gulf between rich and poor brought intense social pressure, and armed conflict was used as a release valve. These petty conflicts soon sparked something far greater and more terrible. In this titanic conflict, hundreds of thousands of aircraft were produced and destroyed, and millions were marched to their deaths. Eventually, the great empires wiped each other out with poison gas, leaving only isolated rural communities to pick up the pieces. These communities were beset on all sides by monsters, bandits, deserters, and tyrants, and so they turned to heroes to save them. Brave pilots took up the surplus machinery of war, painted in bright and inspiring colors, and flew in their defense. It's been about 2 decades since then. The world is recovering and people are reconnecting with one another. But it is no less dangerous, so the flying circuses still take to the air. Some are still valiant heroes, others are opportunists looking to make some quick cash, but all brave terror and death with every flight. I love everything about the setting. I love the sort of the biplane aesthetic. I love the touch of Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki and everything that's in there. Weird, wonderful, artistic aeroplanes are right up my alley. So if that's something that you really enjoy, I highly recommend picking up this game. I know I'm going to be diving deeper into it. It has a wonderful resolution mechanic for dogfighting, which I'm excited to actually bring to the table and play out. So it is the number one bestseller on DriveThruRPG right now. It won't be hard to find. As soon as you go to the page, you'll see it there. Highly recommend getting it up. I'll also have a link to it in the show notes. Yeah, that's Flying Circus by Erika Chappell. I can't recommend it enough. So if you want to, especially in as we're all isolated inside, it would be nice to at least play at soaring high above the open skies. That's day 21. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Be good to one another, be kind to yourself and others, and we will talk to you tomorrow.